I think if you boil it all down, the last 45, 50 minutes talking to Webster Tarpley, he's coming to the same perspective and summation that I've come to, and many of us have. The globalists have the high ground financially, but not morally. They have the power, they have the money, but it's a losing game. Time is on our side, those of us that want human liberty and freedom and upward mobility and goals for society, and, you know, where decency and truthfulness is honored, not just this capitulation to lies and evil. And that on every front, the New World Order is failing. They're grinding down to their axles like Napoleon in Russia or Hitler in Russia. But they got a lot of tricks up their sleeves, namely stage terror. And that's why we now get into North Korea, Pakistan, conflict with Russia, the encirclement, all of that continuing. But Webster, one final note on Iran, then we'll get into stage crises, North Korea being chief among them. I would imagine will be your view, but we'll see. And that is have you ever seen one that lies as much as Obama? I mean, we know presidents lie a lot, and that's just part of what they do. Unfortunately, it's become just business as usual. But with him, it's the over-the-topness, saying there's no CIA doing anything in Iran, there's no involvement, while his bosses, Brzezinski and Kissinger, and you mentioned Skrokoff, are on TV bragging how they're running and all and calling it delicate manipulation. I mean, and that's another question. Why do they go on TV and admit they're behind it, but then he gets up and lies? Is that just part of the flaunting it in our face? They think we're a bunch of idiots?
I think Obama has a much bigger audience, and then when somebody like Brent Scowcroft speaks, that doesn't exactly doesn't get on the evening news. But you're certainly right. With Bush, we had a brutal aggressor, an imperialist, reactionary, and he was frank, as he always said. You know exactly where I stand. Yeah, we did. He had this thin veil of pro-democracy neocon rhetoric, but you could already see the intent, which was just aggression, right? Imperialism, and he would say things like "Bring it on" or "Dead or alive." So that's Bush. But now Obama is a completely different method. This is now systematic strategic deception, dissembling, fakery, lying, duping people, mass brainwashing, and according to some, even mass hypnosis or the attempt at mass hypnosis.
No, he's definitely doing that stuff. They have corporate classes on that. People used to tell me about it a decade ago. I didn't believe it. They really teach them how to do that.
Yeah, there was I think it was Count Cagliostro in the French Revolution could hypnotize crowds. I guess that's what Obama's trying to do. One of the mountebanks of the French Revolution is now reincarnated in Obama. So the point though is that his method is this deception, and I think as long as that holds up, it looks like it's going well. But then, as they used to say in Vietnam, it will become polluted by reality. All the promises that Lyndon Johnson made eventually crashed to the ground. And of course, he was a much less clever practitioner of deception than Obama. So people have got to change gears, right? You're no longer dealing with Bush. Bush is gone. I know a lot of leftists that I know are still hanging on to this idea that Bush is their main enemy. Well, that's long gone. So you're now dealing with Obama, and his method is this lying and so forth. And therefore, the idea of exposing him, right, what you do in the Obama deception, this becomes one of the main things. In other words, simply the loud statement of the truth is practically revolutionary when you're dealing with somebody like Obama.
All right, stay there. We're going to come back in 1 minute, Webster, with the third hour. We got plenty of time with you today. We're very honored and very thankful that you're spending so much time with us. Webster Griffin Tarpley. And we'll tell you about his books and other materials on the other side. But yes, it was George Orwell that said in an age of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. So I think that's a nice addendum or dessert to what Webster just said. We're back live. Thank you so much for joining us on this 25th day of June 2009, this Thursday edition. Webster with us for another hour and a half. Opening the phones up at the bottom of this hour. We'll just go ahead and do it now. 1-800-259-9231. 1-800-259-9231. Only questions for Webster Tarpley. He can talk about almost any subject. 9/11 truth, government-sponsored terror, eugenics, the economy, what's happening in the world. But don't please call in and ask me about chupacabras or anything. I'm going to hang up on you. We'd love to hear from everybody, though. 1-800-259-9231. Webster Tarpley's our guest. Then I'll also go through news blitzes, get into the governor, which looks like a political hit up in South Carolina, and a lot more. Also the video of the Chicago cop for no reason beating a bartender almost to death. And the judge said, no sentence. Keep your badge. You're on probation for 2 years. Good job, basically. So pretty soon they'll be shooting us for fun, and it'll be, hey, here's $1,000. Be a bounty on us or something. I mean, just the mafia-ness of the government is just unbelievable. Going back to Webster Tarpley, you're trying to make a point there, Webster, as we slammed into that satellite-initiated break.
Well, just look what's going on. The program of the U.S. and the British for all these countries is partition, balkanization, getting back to a crazy quilt instead of a unified national state. Brzezinski writes about this all the time. He writes about microstates and mini-states and how you need microstates and mini-states to safeguard human dignity. And, of course, it also happens that the microstates and mini-states are so small, so impotent, so squabbling, so wretched that they couldn't stand up against J.P. Morgan or ExxonMobil or Halliburton or Blackwater. Czechoslovakia was divided into two parts, right after the fall of the Warsaw Pact. Yugoslavia divided into 5 parts. Iraq divided into 3 parts, maybe 2 parts now and another part coming. The plan for Iran is to divide it into 6 parts. The plan for Pakistan into 5 parts. Sudan into 2 parts. And on and on and on. Some people come forward and say, secessionism in the United States? I don't think so, because that's exactly the program of the Council on Foreign Relations. Microstates and mini-states in the U.S. or North America would be just what the bankers ordered.
Webster, I'm going to let you speak on this, but I want to be clear. The mainstream media and Fox News and these different governors, including the one who's in trouble now, Ann Rick Perry, hijacked a states' rights movement saying we're not going to let the offshore banks control the federal government, and through that mechanism control us. We're going to have the states redeclare the Bill of Rights and Constitution for the Republic. Then the media, in a split, miscast the movement as secession to the left and balkanization, which it wasn't, and to the right said, oh, yes, it's good, we do want to secede, and now they have Glenn Beck and others pushing for physical secession. So I agree. Right. I'm not for secession. I'm for the states, like they said no to the Patriot Act, saying, no, we're going to keep the Republic in place and reconvene the federal government if it becomes a complete vassal of offshore banks. But, no, I agree with you. There's been an attempt, somewhat successful, to miscast or change the casting of this movement that I and others have been pushing into pure secession, not declaration of the Republic rights.
I have a program for California which can be adapted to any state, and I'd be happy if I could to adapt it if people have struggles going on in different states.
Okay, well, we got to break again. I interrupted you. When we come back, long segment.
Okay.
Flesh out that full point that you want to make about that, and I agree with you of what they've done to it, but it's nuanced. People say, I'm saying secede. No, I'm saying the states' rights, 9th, 10th Amendment, where the feds can't come into Texas and take my guns. Or they can't come in and say the feds own all the water supply of the U.S. and use that to triple prices. Because the bankers can balkanize to get control of you, or they can use a strong central government to do it, as you know, Webster. So I'm trying to head off both the paths by balancing the powers of the states against the Fed.